last night's game, Cade versus Jalen Green, Rockets versus Pistons, 1 versus 2, I did look at Cade and see like just total comfort there. I think he's already a stud. Green was good too. I think he ended up with more points, shot the 3 ball well, but like something about Cade's just confidence and just the way he can get around the court. He was like organizing other teammates. Just seems like he already belonged.
He looks totally at home in NBA style basketball. And I realize that's a stretch for Summer League, but just the way he steps into transition threes, the way he's going through his pick and roll game, the pace he plays with, he looks like an NBA player, which is not exactly a surprise, but it's always good to see them stack up in that way against, as Woz was saying, the next level of competition, some NBA caliber guys, some other young players. He looks really, really smooth. And I'm very curious to see once he gets hit by some bigger bodies in the NBA, once he's against some next level athletes, if that translates at that level even more, especially in year one. Typically guys like him, you need to build up your body a little bit, get your legs going to really find the rhythm of your career at a high level. But I wouldn't be surprised, just given, again, the confidence and the cadence of his game, if he were just coming out like gangbusters right from day one.
It's dope that you mentioned confidence, because I think there's 2 ways to read his demeanor and his approach to the game. I'm watching this Lee kid soak up possession after possession as Cade is just he's fine with just letting it happen. He's fine with just, all right, when I get the ball, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, but I'm also going to let my guys who are on the fringes of the roster cook as well. And there's 2 ways to look at that. Some people might be like, yo, Jalen Green said, fuck that. Give me the ball. I'm getting shots up. People came here to see me. This is what I'm going to do. And there's a reason to like that approach too, but there's also something to like about Cade Cunningham's confidence, his unwillingness to be rushed. He's under control at all times. And, even in a matchup against the guy who some people might say should have been the number 1 pick instead of him, he doesn't let the moment overcome him, and he's playing the game. It's pretty cool to see. And I understand, look, I'm only going to be in Vegas for 2 more days. I'm not going to get to watch you play until the season starts. I would like to see you be more aggressive about being on the ball, but there's something to say about that. Like, he's just like, yo, it's going to be fine. It's Summer League. Right. It's going to be fine.
There's only a matter of time before people are asking him to play more off of the ball in order to take advantage of his off the ball skills. So it's just like, it's nice to see him do a little bit of everything. He was posting up a smaller defender. Just everything looks crisp. Everything looks polished. He feels at ease doing all of it. It reminds me of the story Danny Chow wrote for us on The Ringer right before Cade got drafted 1 overall. It was about processing and like how he reads the court probably better or faster than a lot of other players, and what an advantage that is in today's modern NBA. But there was specifically a comparison to Luka Doncic, and there's one person who has a background in the science of it all, basically saying like there probably isn't much of a difference between the two, except Luka tends to make the flashy pizzazz play, whereas Cade just makes the right play and just kind of moves along. It looked exactly like that, which was really encouraging to see if you're the Pistons.
Well, and everything we're saying, I think, speaks volumes about his ability to not only succeed in the NBA, but to fit with all these other pieces that Detroit's trying to put together here. As Woz laid out, in terms of his willingness to give up the ball and play and pick his spots, that's going to go really well next to Killian Hayes. He's going to be able to, find Saddiq Bey on the weak side, not force things, looking for that guy, looking for Isaiah Stewart on the duck ends under the basket once he's, healthy and back in the lineup. So there's really something coming together here for Detroit. He's obviously the tentpole piece of that, the one that makes all these other pieces make sense. These other guys are pretty much, I think, projected as role players or at least longer term projects if they're going to get higher than that. But he's the guy who can make all that coalesce.
Right. Well, that's actually a good point to talk about. This question I had for you guys is like, which future would you rather have, the Detroit Pistons or the Houston Rockets? On the one hand, all the guys that Rob mentioned, Saddiq Bey, they have a lot of young talent, plus Jeremy Green's still out there making way too much, but seems to fit what they're doing here with all these other players.
Jeremy Grant.
On the other hand, Jeremy Grant, what did I say?
Jeremy Green.
I'm just thinking about like the Megatron version.
I mixed up somebody's name. I'm gonna remember who I said, and it's gonna crack you up. But I'm forgetting right now.
Was it Alfie Sengun?
No,
Shengun? Who? Well, this actually fits with what I'm saying here. 21 points, 8 rebounds. The guy looked like a combination of just like a back to the basket center 1 minute and then just like a stretch 5 the next. Was like, are you higher on the Pistons future or the Rockets future at this point?
I don't think there's much daylight between the two. And that's because something that I wanted to say to you guys, which is the funny thing that we do with these young guys before they ever do anything. There was this idea of, well, you expended a high draft pick on Killian Hayes, who's a wing last year. So therefore, why would you take another wing in this year's draft? And those two dudes' games couldn't be more opposite, right? If Cade Cunningham is all basketball savant, know-how, understanding, if not, physically LeBron or whatever, Killian Hayes is the opposite direction. Like, one, he's jacked. He is freaking jacked. Somebody told him to get into the weight room and he listened to them. And he's like physically like a really imposing dude at his position, but he doesn't have the feel and understanding that that's not even fair. Like, most people can't have Cade Cunningham's feel and understanding at his age. That's not something that most 99% of players don't have that. But yeah, I think they complement each other in that sense. And you might say to yourself that Houston doesn't have the complementary two-way pieces that Detroit seems to possess right now. But at the same time, I think somebody like me is a little bit more excited about a Jalen Green just because physically that stuff you can't learn. He's so dynamic off the bounce with his first step. He's aggressive about getting to the cup, not afraid of contact.
About everything.
He's aggressive about everything. Yes. And to me, the potential of that is higher than Cade. I think Cade's floor is higher because of the things we just mentioned about his understanding and feel for the game. He's going to be a productive NBA player no matter what happens, but will he get to a super duper star level? I feel like Jalen Green has a higher potential to reach that. And so what do you like more, right? Like, do you like a higher floor or a higher ceiling? That's dependent on taste. Jalen Green, watching him is just like, man, this guy he jumps off of the page, man. Like, something about...
I'm surprised you said that, though, because like I was watching Green last night and I'm like, this guy looks scrawny. Like, he looks small. Maybe it's just because Cade is huge. He was formerly a power forward, like a back the basket power forward in his younger ages before he became a point guard, but he looks small. Maybe like the hair just like overwhelms him. He looks even smaller. It seemed like he was like struggling, like maybe to get his shot off against longer defenders. I don't know. Rob, what do you think?
He looks like Michael Jackson before the vitiligo kicked in. That's what I think is happening.
Rob, does he strike you as more of an off-the-wall MJ or Thriller?
More of a bad, I think, but he looks really thin. And that's going to be the question is he thin in the way where he kind of sneaks past guys and glides past guys, or is he thin in the way where he gets really held up once he starts trying to drive at the NBA level? But for what it's worth, I've been more impressed with him here in Summer League than I was with the G League Ignite. Mm-hmm. And you can impose whatever framework you want on that idea, like about structured versus unstructured basketball. Maybe that has something to do with it. But he has a success to his game in the random elements in terms of his ability to just burst by guys, to sneak through the lane, to do all these kinds of like weird, strange moves, but while maintaining balance and body control. There's a really good, kind of kinesthetic framework there to make a really good basketball player. And there's something to build on between that and the step back jumpers and the confidence in his dribble at his age. Like, those are all really good things. But Justin, I really like the question about the Pistons and the Rockets, because it really is a philosophical question, not only about upside and kind of a sure bet as Woz laid out, but also about, do you want a deeper bench of prospects or do you want the sure thing prospect in Cade Cunningham? Because the Rockets, while they don't fit together as well as the Pistons seem to right now, they just have so many different pieces. They have extra draft picks coming in, and on top of that, you have Green, you have Christian Wood, who's still only 25 years old. You have Kevin Porter Jr., who is popping off for them, but
I like KP.
Really talented player, but at the same time, how does he fit next to Jalen Green? I don't know. And then you have Jayshawn Tate still there. You have Şengün, as we mentioned, who has been
John Wall, former All-Star.
Theoretically, John Wall is on that team. Usman Garuba, who we haven't seen play for this team yet, another first-round pick, and Josh Christopher. You have this group of kind of like, will they or won't they make it guys, and Kyrie Thomas and Kenyon Martin Jr. and them. So there's just a lot going on there where if I'm going to pick and choose between those situations, I might go Houston just on the variety of the prospects and the idea that, we don't know if Alperen Şengün is going to be a good NBA player yet. And so to hedge against the possibility that he tops out at role player or tops out at backup center or flames out of the NBA entirely, give me the team that has 8 potential NBA prospects on it. Yeah. Headlined by Jalen Green, who, I've been really impressed with him so far out in Vegas.